your shoulder.
Another one, another one!
Shut it!
Suspect there. Inside the building, right here. Right there. Suspect, I got him. Hey, go in. I got him covered. Make sure.
I got him covered. I'm with you. I'm with you.
I got you.
Make sure we don't have any other shooters.
We got people down inside. Fire in the left.
I copy fire responding to shootout.
All right.
I got you.
Morning, Frank, I'm coming. Which one's you shooting?
This one right here. Yes, that is correct. Shots fired by police.
Shots fired by police.
Officers are okay.
I'm asking, is the officers okay? Turn down. Responding.
Officers are okay.
Any officer down?
4 officers down.
The 4 officers shot a collective 11 rounds between them. Aaron was shot multiple times, including at least 1 shot to his head, which was the kill shot. The police called out that the shooter was down at approximately 9:11 a.m.
There were gunshots exchanged. At this point, the shooter is deceased.
Aaron had managed to fire off 35 rounds in only 4 minutes and 28 seconds. He carried hundreds of rounds of ammunition. Later investigation could not provide a link, or any connection for that matter, between Aaron and the bank, or any of its employees. During the shooting at Fifth Third, executives helped to usher several people to safety behind a Dunkin' Donuts store. At the same time, a security guard was also trying to get others to a safe place. At one point, surveillance footage appeared to depict the guard nearly carrying others out of harm's way. Responding police officers completed active shooter training several weeks earlier, which was a tremendous advantage in how they responded. Aaron may have caused even more damage and destruction had he managed to make it into the elevator and onto another floor of the building. Thankfully, that didn't happen, meaning more people left on their own free will than not. The Fifth Third building was immediately placed on lockdown while police searched and declared the scene secure, indicating the threat was no longer active, and that there was only one shooter. People who remained inside the building were escorted out, floor by floor. Frightened survivors were located in closets and guided outside. People spilled into the streets outside, which had been closed to accommodate the dire situation. A reunification center was established across the street at the Westin Hotel lobby. On the same afternoon as the shooting, at around 1:00 p.m., a police SWAT unit secured a search warrant and executed a search on Aaron's apartment, removing several bags and a computer. Fountain Square and a nearby parking garage, including all associated events, was closed for investigation. The Hamilton County Coroner's Office determined that there were no drugs or alcohol in Aaron's system at the time of the shooting. Further reports indicated that Aaron was not shot at close range. It appears from video footage of the shooting that an officer may have shot through a large hole in the glass that was made from the shooter's own bullets. The hole was large enough to provide some visual inside the building. Of the shooting victims, 1 was declared dead at the scene, and the other 4 were taken to the University of Cincinnati Medical Center, where 2 of the 4 were ultimately declared deceased. The 2 survivors were both wounded. Whitney Austin was listed as critical, and Brian Sarver was listed as fair condition.
Active shooter, reports of an active shooter,
mass casualty incidents.
active shooter. Reports of an active shooter.
Active shooter, mass casualty incidents.
25-year-old Prithvi Raj Kandepi was the youngest of the three shooting victims. Born in India, he came to the United States for school and employment opportunities. His parents and younger sister still live there today. Prithvi was a consulate of the Fifth Third Bank, a position he earned after graduating from the University of California, Riverside, and the Vellore Institute of Technology in India. A known movie buff, Prithvi was also a huge fan of cricket and loved to cook. He was really quite the chef. His friends promised to remember this incredibly kind, generous man for who he was, not for the horrific manner in which he died. Prithvi worked very hard to provide for his family and sent money back to his family in India whenever possible. He wanted to take care of his loved ones, but his unselfish ways didn't extend only to his family. For his birthday, Prithvi donated money to feed 300 people, and it was something he vowed to make an annual tradition. Prithvi's body was flown back to his family in India for a traditional burial.
Grieving loved ones turned out to receive the body of one of the victims of the shooting at the Fifth Third Center. A vehicle covered with flowers carried Prithvi Raj Kandepi on his final journey to his hometown in India. His mother and father and his young sister were among the mourners. Hamilton County Coroner Lakshmi Sammarco is from the same town. She told me today she wept when she saw these pictures of the family bringing their son home.
A GoFundMe was established in his honor, raising over $111,000 for his family. Luis Felipe Calderon was a 48-year-old Fifth Third Bank employee who had only been working for the management team about a year before the shooting. He moved with his family from Miami, Florida to Cincinnati in September 2017, while his wife Anna and children son Andres and daughter Natalia stayed back in Miami. Luis often flew to Florida on his days off, and sometimes the family flew to Ohio to see him. It was a difficult way to live, but Luis loved his family with all his might, and would do anything to take care of them, even flying back and forth across the country. He was so excited to have recently been approved for a transfer from the Fifth Third in Cincinnati to Miami, which would allow him to reunite with his beloved family fully, come the following February. Sadly, he never got to make that transfer. Luis was a soccer player and genuinely enjoyed playing the sport, but was also known as a prankster, always joking around. His wife Anna was left behind to raise their two children alone, though she and the children find strength in their shared bond and love for the man who was their everything. It is devastating that Luis will never have the luxury of watching his kids grow up, marry, and have little ones of their own. 64-year-old Richard, also known as Rick Newcomer, was a superintendent or construction supervisor for the Gilbane Building Company. He was in the construction field in the area for over 30 years. Rick was brought to Fifth Third Building that day for a meeting with Brian Sarver and another contractor when the shooting started. Rick was a laid-back man who was married to his love for over 35 years. He had 3 children and 8 grandchildren and was the biggest family man. He never missed one of his grandkids' sporting events and looked forward to family gatherings more than most do. He truly just loved his family and being with them. Rick avoided the spotlight, though he loved to step into the role of teacher or mentor when it came to his job, where he could show others the joys of mechanical and electrical fields. A sports nut, Rick loved the Cincinnati Bengals and was one of their biggest fans.
Rick was a very humorous person. He would be, even in difficult situations, he would be the person, trying to cut up a little bit and have fun. I actually hadn't talked to him for about 8 months or something like that. So it had been a while. We just, busy lives, too busy at times. And I think it's probably one of the regrets, because you always think you'll have more time. I think, in that time, or at least initiated. And that anger was like, we're better than this.
Fountain Square in Cincinnati, Ohio, is affectionately nicknamed The Square. The city square was founded in 1871 and showcases restaurants, shops, hotels, and office spaces. The square was totally renovated and redesigned in 2005, and the Tyler Davidson Fountain sits right in the center of the square. There are numerous events held at the square year-round, including games, movies, concerts, and festivals. The large employers locally, in addition to the Fifth Third Bank, are Great American Insurance Group and Macy's, both of which are headquartered there. Aaron was born in San Juan, Puerto Rico, but was a U.S. citizen, having moved to Florida with his mother and sister. In high school, Aaron moved to South Carolina, where he attended the West Side High School in Anderson. He lived on Rio Way, in a subdivision named Casa del Rio there, with his mom and sister. The family lived in a small, middle-class home, while Aaron completed his junior and senior years at Westgate, graduating in 2008. Aaron was a proud member of the wrestling team both years, wrestling in the 215-pound weight class. Aaron displayed no violent tendencies, nor was he confrontational. In fact, his wrestling teammates claimed that Aaron avoided it at all costs. He was somewhat shy, and certainly didn't get into trouble. He wore an honors sash at graduation, and there didn't appear to be any serious issues, at least none that were reported. The worst it seems anyone could say was that he could lean towards depression at times, but what teenager doesn't have some mood swings? Aaron always seemed to snap out of it, and was described by many as soft-spoken and not assertive. During his younger years, Aaron loved to play video games, especially football with his friends. Most people that knew his family say that they mainly spoke Spanish inside the home, and by all accounts seemed to be happily, well-adjusted family. Some close to him say that in the weeks leading up to the shooting, Aaron was becoming more and more exasperated and found difficulty maintaining a steady job. A former co-worker claimed that Aaron seemed a little socially awkward, but he never displayed anger, and the two even bought each other lunch on occasion. Aaron was issued 2 traffic citations in Anderson County, South Carolina in 2007. Each citation stemmed from an incident on October 6, 2007 when he received a seatbelt ticket and disregarded a stop sign ticket. Aaron was ordered to pay a $175 fine as a result. A civil lawsuit was filed against Aaron on July 29, 2008, but the case was settled outside of court, so the details of this lawsuit are unknown. On July 29, 2014, Aaron was issued another citation for speeding. He was ordered to pay a $100 fine as a result. He was charged with trespassing on October 1, 2014, when he refused to leave his former employer, Confluence Outdoors property. The time was noted to be about 6:25 a.m. as a 911 call was placed for assistance. Aaron had been terminated from the company and was refusing to leave. The 911 caller stated that Aaron was acting strangely lately, throwing tools and making strange utterances, and they were concerned about what Aaron might do. The police responded and Aaron was finally coaxed into leaving. 2 hours later, he returned to the same business and the police were contacted again. Upon the police arrival, they located Aaron on a sidewalk in front of the business. He was laying flat on his back, smoking a cigar. Police searched him and didn't find any weapons, and noted that Aaron appeared disheveled and bewildered. He responded to police questioning, but his answers seemed odd and out of context, making it difficult for officers to understand what the problem was, besides the fact that he was fired. They ordered Aaron to stand and put his hands behind his back, but Aaron ignored the command. Instead, he gripped his fists, crying as he refused to place his hands behind him. When the police backup was called in, he was brought down to the ground and handcuffed without any further